I'm going to talk a little bit about my eating habits growing up. Because these days I'm kind of known for the fact that I constantly talk about how I eat out all the time. Like, I'm always saying that I'm like a big foodie and I love to eat at different restaurants and shit. And this is really the product of the fact that I never really had, like, good food at home growing up. Now, we had plenty of food. I never was, like, hungry or anything, though I was a really skinny kid up until I was in high school just because I was super picky. Everyone in my family is extremely picky eaters. Don't really know why, but we somehow all came out that way. And for me as a kid, all I would really eat is, like, snacks. Like, I would eat, like, Little Debbie snacks all the time. I remembered this because today, May and I went to the Sketch Mart, our local convenience store, that's our nickname for it. And, 'cause it's real sketchy. Like, really, really sketchy, but it's pretty cool. Um, and they had ho-hos, the Hostess snack ho-hos. And May had never had any of the Hostess snacks before. Her mom had kept her away from it, partly because she was afraid they would have nuts in them, and May is deathly allergic to nuts. But I read through the stuff. It didn't say anything about nuts, and I was like, dude, ho-hos were a staple of my childhood. We gotta try them, you know? But yeah, like, I would eat ho-hos, like, fucking every day, you know, and I would eat just, like, Fruit by the Foot and Gushers and, like, just any random sugary snack food, Pop-Tarts, like, in absence of other food. Like, I think that most people, like, most kids eat that stuff as, like, a snack in between meals. But, like, for me, it was, like, I might eat lunch at school and some kind of, like, TV tray dinner at home, you know, and, like, just ho-hos. All the time, and other snack foods. Like, at lunch, school lunches, I brought lunch for a lot of school. I was always back and forth between whether I was bringing or buying lunch. Partly it depended on how much money my family had. Partly it depended on, like, just what my preference was, or if I was willing to make the lunches myself. For a while, my mom made them for me. But it was, like, always the exact same lunch. You know, it was, like, I would have a ham and cheese sandwich or something like that. And like, those little pretzels that you dip in the cheese. And, like, maybe a candy and a drink. Like, that was always my bag lunch. It was basically just a sandwich. Like, there was a lot of times where I just brought a sandwich and just ate, like, the same identical sandwich. But if I was buying lunch, I always bought a cheeseburger. Like, every single day, I would buy, because, like, school lunches in my area, at least, your options were, like, they would have something that changed every day. You know, like, the main entree that they offered would change every day. So you could get, like, maybe a pizza if you're lucky on Friday. That's the only thing I would order over a burger, even though it was always one tiny fucking slice. But, like, you could get a pizza one day, but then the next day it would be, like, I don't know, Sloppy Joe, or, like, a fucking lasagna or some shit. Like, you know, whatever. It changes every day. But they would always have a cheeseburger as an option, as, like, always there, and I'd get it every fucking time. So I ate nothing but cheeseburgers and snacks and sandwiches. And you know, at home, my mom would cook for us sometimes, but we were so fucking picky that there was not many things she could make. Like, we would eat, like, chicken nuggets and, like, you know, macaroni or something like that if she made that, you know, like, just a bag of chicken nuggets. But, like, if she tried to cook an actual meal, we would not eat that, you know, like, any of the few meals she knew how to cook, we probably weren't a big fan of them. So, like, it was pretty much always, like, chicken nuggets and, like, any kind of microwavable dinner. So we ate tons of kid cuisines, or Hungry Man's a little later in life, or, like, those, you know, family, like, easy bake kind of shit. Like, just anything that was easy to make and that was, like, bland as fuck. It's like none of us understood flavor or something. And So that's what I grew up on. Like, I grew up on bad food. And my mom became a vegetarian in 2001 and just gradually forgot how to cook anything. Because, like, she claims that when my mom and dad first got married, then she would cook for him all the time. And she was pretty okay. But gradually over time, he got to be so picky that he would constantly like be like, oh, let's not eat that anymore. Let's not eat that anymore until there was like nothing left. And my dad has very bland taste. My dad sometimes will eat a dinner of just rice. He will literally just eat a huge bowl of rice, and that's his dinner. And he'll be completely fine with that. He loves cheese quesadillas. My mom will just cook, she'll just take 2 tortillas, throw a shitload of cheese between them, and fry it up, and then have like a side of salsa, and that's dinner. You know, I find them fucking disgusting, personally, because it just feels like you're eating straight cheese. Like, just straight melted cheese. And it's fucking gross, but... You know, my dad once said that he would be satisfied with quesadillas for dinner every night. So yeah, it's just bland food that is not made well or isn't made at all. It's just bought from, you know, it's ready made. It's cooked in a microwave, you know. And there was a pretty decent period of time where I was the one making dinner every night, because once my mom, she kind of went back to work when I was about 12 or 13, and for a few years I was the one who had to organize dinner every night. Me and my brother Victor would fight over who was going to make dinner, like who didn't have, like we didn't want to, and we'd try to make the other person, and we would literally fight for like 45 minutes over who was going to make dinner, because neither of us wanted to do it, and we'd be fucking starving, so we'd be sitting around, like, just laying on the couch, like, complaining at each other to go make dinner because we're hungry, you know, but it was usually me who was really hungry. Like, it was usually me who most wanted dinner and was trying to get Victor to make it for me, because I didn't want to make it, and he would always be like, I'm not that hungry, you know, but I'd argue with him anyways, because I'm a fucking asshole. Me and him fought, like, constantly over shit like that, over me trying to manipulate him into doing shit all growing up. But yeah, I would make the dinner most of the time, and I would, you know, make cheese and shells all the time with like a tray of 6 Salisbury steaks or something, or like a tray of 6 boneless rib links that you could buy in like the banquet meals, you know. And yeah, just tons and tons and tons of frozen food. And that was basically our diet for the longest time. And then, because my mom, again, like, she didn't eat meat, so she gradually just didn't know how to cook meat, and, like, didn't care. Like, she didn't care about the quality of meat she was cooking, because she's not eating it. She's not going to test it, you know? So, like, if she made beef, she'd always either, like, not season it or over-season it with, like, taco seasoning, you know? Or, well, usually she was making fake beef if it was beef, because she would make, like, if we had a taco night, it's fake beef, which is fucking gross, in my opinion. She had no problem with it, because she'd forgotten the taste of real meat. But for me, I'm like, this is the worst thing in the world, this fake meat. Just so much bad food. And I got really, as soon as I started like having any disposable income whatsoever, I was eating out like at fast food all the time. Like, I was constantly going to Arby's, because we lived right next to an Arby's and a Taco Bell. So I'd go to Arby's and Taco Bell all the time. I'd go to Hardee's, Chick-fil-A. Like, once I had a car, especially, like when I had a car and money, I was just like noping out. Like, I'd go eat like right before my mom made dinner, and then I'd always be like, I don't want any. You know, like, every night she'd be like, I made dinner, and I'd be like, I'm fine, I'm good, you know, I don't want to eat whatever weird concoction you've made, because she would also get inventive and try to like invent new dishes, and I usually was not a fan of those. And she could never remember a recipe. I know I'm like beating up on my mom real bad. You know, I appreciate that she was trying to cook for us. Like, I'm not begrudging the fact that she tried. I'm not saying she's bad for any of this. I love my mom. I'm glad she tried to cook for us, you know. fine. But I'm just saying that the food was not good. And as soon as I was able to give up on it, I did, you know? And for what it's worth, we were not very appreciative or grateful kids about the food. You know, like my mom's setting aside time to cook for us, and we're just like, your cooking sucks. You know, like we're being assholes. But like, it can't be helped, man. I reject food that I don't enjoy. It's really hard for me to eat something if I'm not gonna like it. You know, I'm a picky fucking eater. But the funny thing is that I don't think I was really a picky eater so much because I didn't have a broad palate. I think it's more because most of the food we were eating wasn't very good, you know? Because, like, most of those dishes, I can go out and order it somewhere and love it. Like, I fucking love quesadillas. Like, quesadillas are my favorite thing to get at a Mexican restaurant. Because when you've got the perfectly cooked ground beef, and it's got this melted white, like, queso cheese in there, and it's just grilled to perfection, and it's soft and gooey and melts in your mouth. It's the best. It's one of my favorite foods. When you're eating a cheese quesadilla of like cheddar, like shredded cheddar and mozzarella, like sprinkled on between two fucking generic, tortillas, and then just like flatly grilled on both sides, like, no, it's not the same. It is not at all the same, you know. But I got really into fast food, and then as soon as I could afford to eat beyond fast food, it got really hard to eat fast food, you know, because it's the same kind of experience. It's like I was eating that because it was better than what we were having at home, but then once I graduated to the next level, it's like, oh, I can't go back. You know, there's no going back. Once you've become a foodie and you really, like, spoil yourself to eating nice, it is really difficult to eat not good food. And this is a problem that May and I have, and it's all because of me spoiling both of us, where I'll take us out to eat every fucking night. You know, I pay for it. I'll pay for both of us to eat out every night so I don't have to eat, at home. Because neither of us really knows how to cook. And we fuck up half the things we try to cook. Like, I'll try to make... Like, I can successfully make deep fried chicken. That's like the one thing I can successfully make every time is deep fried chicken, or like cheese and shells and chicken cordon bleu, because again, that's just like frozen or boxed food. You're not really making anything, but like, you know, that's a surefire meal. It's like the best frozen food. That is like the best. That and a veggie lasagna. Those are the best frozen foods. So we can do those. And we could do a few other things, but, like, we fucked up a lot of meals and had to throw away a lot of food. And, and also, even when we don't fuck it up, sometimes it's just not that good. Like, we had like a beef stew that we bought that was like a, store-made, like, made at the store beef stew, and we cooked it and ate it, and it was, like, not very good, and then May choked on it, like, really badly, like, fucking almost died choking on beef stew, and, we just kind of threw it away. Like, you know, I could go somewhere and get a good beef stew instead of that, and there's really no reason not to other than laziness. Like, the only reason it's nice to have some things to cook at home is that we smoke a lot of weed and drink a lot of alcohol, so, like, we can't always go out, you know? But, we were talking about it, how, like, last time we went grocery shopping, we really fucked up. We bought way too much stuff and focused too much on dinners, and I was like, man, we always end up eating out even when we have dinners at home, because we don't want to eat them. So, from now on, we're just gonna get, like, nothing but mid-tier stuff. Like, nothing but stuff that you can eat when you're high, because that's really what we want, you know? Anyway, this ended up going down a lot of the stuff that I've already talked about before. I intended to focus more on my childhood eating habits, but I think you got the picture, you know? And it's just, like, it's easy to see how I've kind of, like, overcorrected. And, I don't know, it's possible that either May or I will learn how to cook in the future. Like, it's not that hard to do. It's just a process of learning it and, like, knowing what ingredients you should have around. But, like, I also just I don't know, I don't like anybody's home-cooked meals that much. Like, anytime someone is introduced to me as, like, an amazing cook, and then I eat what they have made, I'm like, I'd rather go to a restaurant, you know? Like, some of my friends And like, some of my friends and some of my friends like moms or girlfriends, they're like, oh my god, they're such an amazing cook, and then they bring their food over and I'm like, it just tastes like food that was made at home, like, yeah, it's better than bad food, it is cooked right, but it's not as good as a restaurant, you know um with few exceptions. There are some people who can like grill something really amazing. My friend Donson used to make these sriracha burgers where he would or like Cajun spice burgers. He can make some serious fucking burger patties and they would be fucking great. Some of the best burgers I've ever had were made by my friend Donson. So I will say that it's possible. Sometimes people aren't fucking around, But I also find most burgers disappointing at restaurants. In fact, that's probably why, because burgers are generally shit at restaurants, unless it's fucking Five Guys. But that's a fucking argument for another day. I have strong opinions about burgers.